Well, this evening's chat or topic is going to be manners or behavior of truck drivers, proper manner of behaviors, because there's all sorts of things now that I'm seeing pop up in the industry that, and it's especially in the last few years, that are just unbelievable to see. And I can't understand why truck drivers do this. But number one thing for me, number one pet peeve probably, is these guys that park in the fuel island. I cannot conceive a more ill-mannered approach to another truck driver. You know, that's just downright rude. And I guess people park in the fuel island and wander into the truck stop because they think they're only going to be a minute, or and maybe there's a lineup to pay for the fuel or something like that. But you're holding up other people, and that's rude to inconvenience other people. And then some of these guys will actually go in, have a sit-down meal, and take a shower or something like that. I've seen trucks parked in the fuel islands for like 20, 30 minutes at a time sometimes. And that's something that should never happen. It's not like the truck stop parking lot is a mile away from the fuel pumps. You can pull forward and maybe run in and run out quickly if you just pulled one forward. But if you're going to be any length of time at all, always, 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 just go park it in the parking lot. You're not going to be that far away. It's not going to be a tough walk. God knows you could probably use the exercise. That is one of the rudest practices that I see more and more and more of these days. And I don't know if it's because the newer truck drivers are unmentored or are not properly taught. I guess CDL school doesn't teach you after you fuel the truck to pull the truck through so you're not holding up anybody else. And some of these guys are on schedules, They can't be sitting there for a half hour waiting for you to move. So just one of the rudest things I see in trucking these days, and I don't understand why it's happening, but I think we should make a concerted effort to correct people that do that. Just have a word with them and say, you know what, be nice about it, but say, you know what, that's really inconvenienced me and other people. Don't do that anymore. Ironwood Workman. I got out of trucking for this reason. I knew it was a matter of time before drivers would be paying to park, etc. Well, they're not going to, they're not going to charge you. They're not going to charge you for making you park for 20 minutes while you run in and grab a shower or something. But yeah, paid parking is coming to be a thing. And I can almost understand it with truck stops because they've got hugely expensive real estate sitting there that they're donating for free. And it used to be that truck stops would recoup their money from feeding the truck drivers and having them pay for showers or getting work done in their shop. But now so many of these guys just eat in their truck and go that there's no revenue coming in from their parking, and they need to subsidize that somehow. So I can see both sides of that argument. The second thing that I see that illustrate poor manners in truck drivers lately, and it seems to be pretty much the new guys, and it's just probably because they're not aware of how long their truck is. But I see them cutting off other trucks and four-wheelers on the interstate. They're, a lot of them are speed governed because they work for a big carrier, and they'll just barely get by the nose of the guy they're passing and then carve in without leaving a safety buffer zone, and sometimes they misjudge that, and sometimes they're even clipping the hood of the truck that they've just passed. There's absolutely no reason to be trying to pass some guy and then just whipping in and cutting him off. That's completely unacceptable. Not only is it unacceptable, it's just downright dangerous. And I understand now, with these speed limiters, passing has become a problem for a lot of guys. And at the end of December, it's going to be a problem for everybody because they're going to implement speed limiters, nationwide. But that doesn't mean that you need to trim the hood off the guy that you've just passed. And it also doesn't mean that you can sit in the left lane for 20 minutes trying to get past another truck that's got a speed governor as well. So you're doing idiot drag racing there basically because neither one can pass the other. That's stupid. Just if you can't get by the guy, give it, a few seconds. If it's obvious you're not gaining on him, touch the brakes and ease back in behind them. You're going to get there at the same time. That's another goofy practice. The new drivers and the mega carrier drivers. I see that all the time. There's no need for it. Muppet says, I always back off when I'm being overtaken. It's just the smart, polite thing to do. Why would you deliberately pin some guy out in the left-hand lane too? And you know, some of these guys have had a really bad day. And you don't want to be a victim of their road rage. Give them a break, the same kind of break you'd hope that they would give you. And don't pin anybody out in the left lane. And don't, if you're passing and you can't pass, don't take the hood off the guy in front of you. Leave plenty of room. And if you can't do that because the traffic's zipping in around you all the time, you shouldn't be out passing anyway. Just back off the fuel, stay behind them, and stay a safe area, distance behind them. Don't get into this drag racing idiocy with speed governed trucks. That's just bad manners. Something else, another practice that I always thought exhibited good manners in truck drivers, where if you were on a 2-lane road and there was a truck passing you going the other direction, everybody back in the day would wave, nod, acknowledge the other driver. If it was at night, you'd blink your lights at them, your clearance lights on the top, not the headlights, but the clearance lights, just to flash them to say, hey man, how are you? Hi. But you never ever see that anymore. And I pass these guys on the 2-lane roads, and they've got their headphones on, and God knows what else they're tuned into, but they're not tuned into what's going on. You know, acknowledge the other driver. It's a friendly gesture. It's something we used to do all the time, and I think it's a good practice. It helps knit the trucking community together because we're all on the same side here. So, you know, try to focus on the other guys around you as well. It's just good manners. Something else that I've seen more and more lately are guys that are sitting. You can go to a warehouse and there'll be a dozen guys sitting there waiting for an appointment or to get into the dock or something like that. They're waiting for their turn to get into the dock. And I see all sorts of guys that just hope everybody else is sleeping, and the moment the dock clears, they'll whip in and butt in line and try to get empty first, basically, is what they're attempting to do. And that's just plain rude. You know, it's a pain in the butt sitting at these warehouses. I know it. I've done it for years. But there's no sense in cutting somebody off, taking somebody else's turn. You'll all get out of there eventually. But I hate it when I see pushy drivers try to rush and jump the order. So just something else that bugs me. Something else that I want to talk about too, and I've seen a lot more of this lately than I ever used to see before, is confrontational drivers. Drivers that will try to pick a fight at the fuel island or maybe with the truck stop staff or something like that. People that are just having a bad day and venting it on other people. That's absolutely unacceptable, and we never used to see that before. And now it's become fairly commonplace. It's kind of like road rage on the pavement. You don't have your truck to run at somebody, but you mouth off and threaten them, and there's all sorts of examples on YouTube that I've seen about this too. What have you got that's worth fighting for? What is the biggest issue, you know? Like, don't be silly. If you've got a beef with somebody, 9 times out of 10, you're best just to shut up and keep it to yourself. You don't need to be verbalizing it so the whole parking lot can hear. But you're better to walk away. And if you've just got to say something, if it's just eating at you and you can't stand it, have a quiet word with the guy. You don't have to like what he has to say in response. You just, you know, if you need to get your point out, but do it professionally. Don't provoke a confrontation and just walk away, because chances are the guy's a fool anyway. So don't even get into it with him. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. Appreciate you all joining us. We'll see you again next week. Take care. Good night.